job interview is one of the most anxiety-provoking situations most people can find themselves in, even when they go to plan. But what happens when you have your worst interview ever? Our guests share their worst interviews ever in the hope that you will take something from their mistakes to have a more successful interview outcome. Some of the stories are horrific and some are just downright embarrassing. Let's join our host, Kevin O'Reilly, the interview skills coach with over 25 years' experience in the fields of coaching and recruitment. Let's welcome our guests to the show.
Today we have on the show Cathy Moore, an employability consultant for one of the largest universities in Ireland. Cathy is also a former chair of the Northern Ireland Schools Career Association, where she held that role for over 6 years. And she also has been in the industry of careers for nearly 19 years. Cathy, you're very, very welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on today. Where do we find you today?
Thanks. I'm in Belfast at the moment. So it's a bit of a mixed day here. I'm in a side room and work, so hopefully we won't get interrupted.
Oh, well, this is the joys of hiding away in a corner, isn't it?
It's like I call this one the room of requirement because there's no window or no door number on it and you can't book it. So you literally go in and take it and hope it's free. So I'm settled here with everything all around me.
Good. Well, Cathy, we're going to jump into our conversation on our interview, because your 19 years of experience sounds fascinating. I know that in a previous life, I was in an organization for nearly 22 years, and it just went by in the blink of an eye. Do you tend to find that with where you are at this moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, when you were saying even 19 years there, I was thinking, oh, wow. Yeah, how did that happen? It does. I mean, did they not say as you get older, time kind of accelerates with warp speed anyway? And you think back in primary school, a year was like 10 years, and now just like that. So it's been 19 years, 3 different educational, spheres. It's been 3 different roles. So it's been absolutely brilliant, to be working with so many different types of people. So in the further education sector, yourself, you've got adults and you've got traineeships and apprenticeships, and you've got people with no qualifications or lots of qualifications from all walks of life. I absolutely loved it. And then the statutory sector, 11 to 19, a large school in inner city, where again, okay, so they're the same age from the same area roughly, but everyone's different. And it was a massive range, of options there. And then university work's different again. You're not doing as much individual one-to-one coaching. Sometimes you're working on projects. I do a lot of teaching, embedding skills, careers, forward thinking, all of that, into the curriculum. So yeah, there's been 3 very different roles, and I've loved all of them. I'm very lucky, I suppose. See it that way.
Well, this is it, isn't it? What do they say? If you love what you do, you never work another
You work
day
a day of your life. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Although sometimes you have to look at your pay packet to agree with that or disagree with that.
Yeah, this is true. Isn't it
just?
Yeah.
But I would say in those 19 years, there's bound to be stories, lovely stories, but also
plenty that I could never repeat. Yep.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe we'll take that one for the offer.
Sure, when you work with young people, isn't it the best crack? Do you know?
Well,
the only people with worse stories than me are doctors and nurses around the dinner table, and the stuff they come off with. Do you know, you're like, oh, I'm eating. Please don't repeat that.
But as you quite rightly say, nothing as strange as folk.
Yeah, definitely.
And you never know what's going to come out of someone's mouth at any one time or another, and especially young people and young adults and children.
Yeah, okay, love it.
This is it, isn't it? I mean, I do a lot of work with schools and colleges myself, and I'm always surprised. I suppose I shouldn't be, but I am, just some of the questions you get asked. And there's quite a few times I will always issue, at the start of any of the workshops I do, I always issue a challenge to everybody in the room to find a question that they think I don't know the answer to, as long as it's on the subject that we're talking about. But it's a real challenge because you start to see the extroverts, the ones that want to catch you out. And then you start to see the competitive ones, the ones that want to ensure they are the best in the room and stand out. But it's funny because I used to be very concerned about someone asking me a question I may not know the answer to. That fear of feeling a little stupid in front of people. But I've got to the stage now where it's like it's a challenge for me as well to find someone who can ask me a question, but it's a really good training tool And I don't know if you've ever
Mm.
used it. If
Well,
someone
it's
can ask
hard
you a
just to.
question, yeah,
You
yeah,
wouldn't know. I mean, you just couldn't possibly know everything, especially in
yeah.
the careers field. The amount of pathways, the amount of different countries people want to go to, the amount of career options, the different levels of education, and then the change. So no, listen, and nearly every day I learn something new, and actually that's the way it should be. For your own growth.
Oh yeah, and also for your own sanity, I think. If you were doing the
Yeah.
same job over and over
Oh
again,
no! Oh please don't.
oh,
No, I get bored really, really easily. So I couldn't contemplate that. No, no
well,
thanks.
maybe that's why you went into this field.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Who knows? Actually, I think it was happenstance I ended up in this.
Oh,
So
okay,
I
okay.
didn't actually actively have my own career action plan the way I would try and talk people through. It just was the right thing at the right time.
And I suppose with a lot of students that happens to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends on where you are when things crop up. So
And what do you normally find is one of the biggest struggles with students at the moment? Is it that they don't have that career plan in place or don't even know what they want to do?
it's a whole big mix. Obviously, in the student population, we're seeing much lower confidence than previously, especially when communicating, and having to communicate face to face or having to present, very high levels of anxiety. So I'd say that's actually probably the principal problem at the moment. It's being able to navigate your way through that in order to perform, for recruitment cycles. I mean, I think it's hard for anybody to go through recruitment processes, whether that be an assessment centre, video presenting to an audience, standard interview, multiple mini interviews. But imagine doing that with a really high level of anxiety and low level of confidence to start with. So that's where we come in. We try and level the playing field to bring, everyone to kind of the same level where they can compete.
You create some equity.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
it is a difficult challenge, that, isn't it? It is
hmm
trying to reduce that anxiety and create a level of confidence that someone has the ability and desire to go put themselves out there and potentially be
Absolutely.
rejected.
Yeah. And that's, it's very hard not to take it personally. If you really want something and you feel that you've performed really well and you don't get it, yep, you're going to take it personally. I have too in the past. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just human nature, isn't it? It's at
Mm-hmm.
what point do you get over it and draw a line under it and say, well, get feedback on that. If the employer is good enough to give it to you, quite
Mm-hmm.
often they don't have the time to do it anyway. But then take it as a learning experience, learn what you can and move on to the next one.
Then
So
that's mindset, isn't it? And that's changing that
yeah,
mindset before they even go in to say, listen, this is a learning experience regardless of the outcome. And a
yeah,
lot of times we're outcome based creatures. We almost know what we want and we want to go and get that, but it's really difficult to do that, especially if the odds are really, really stacked against you. The research shows that there's 127 people that go for an unskilled job, and only one or two people get that job. So you're talking 125 people are going to be disappointed.
Mhm.
And how many
Yeah.
times does that happen over and over and over again?
I know, and if it keeps happening, obviously you are gonna, you are gonna take a hit on that,
Yeah.
psychologically. So, a lot of people will turn to me at that point, and it's usually something can be fixed quite easily. And I would say, gosh, I wish I'd met you earlier. I wish you'd reached out earlier. But
It's
again,
not.
learning experience. I mean, we're supposed to take everything as a learning experience, aren't we? Is that a
Yeah.
learning moment? Is that a teachable moment? Instead, I'm going, ah, shut up.
What,
You're only to
what,
a
what,
point.
what is it? Walk the talk? Is that what they're saying? It's walk
Oh,
the talk.
sure. Still,
Listen, we're only human. We're only human, Cathy.
absolutely.
I know some of us like yourself might be superhuman, but we're
Ugh.
only human after all.
Believe me, I'm not. I can help people get jobs and I can coach people for interviews and things like that if they need that, but I can't really do it for myself. So.
Well, you tend to find that. And this is again, this is some of the research that I have been looking into lately of why certain coaches become coaches. And it's because of their negative experience that they have had in the past around that particular area, and that's why they become
Mhm.
coaches.
Well, there you go.
Mm.
Maybe there's some truth to it.
Well, any of the coaches I've met in the past 6 months, I've asked them why they became a coach, and they've told me the story, and it's exactly in line with what they're teaching others or coaching others on.
Oh, that makes sense.
It does, because you don't want anybody else to go through what you've been through. So you
Hmm.
try to coach someone or try to coach a lot of people because of your past experiences, how they move forward?
I think I was just generally clueless, actually, in my 20s. I spent far too much time partying and just, was absolutely clueless. So it's probably happenstance. I just ended up falling into it because I was a modern languages teacher and I was substituting for somebody who also had careers in their timetable. And I thought, what's that? I quite like that. And then I found out there was a qualification in it. And so, yeah, there you go.
It's one of those strange things. It's all,
Hmm.
but what do they call it when managers or leaders become managers or leaders? Literally what you said, accidental leadership,
Hmm.
accidental managers. When
Yeah.
when you're really good at your job and then they promote you, but you're not very good at being a leader or a manager yet because you haven't learned how to do that.
Very different skill set.
Oh,
Very, very different skill
huge,
set. And
huge.
we all know bad managers. And there's that saying that people don't leave jobs, they leave bad managers. So,
I agree.
I know, but leadership's a whole different thing. You could do a whole different podcast on leadership alone,
Oh
couldn't
my
you?
goodness. But do you know what the funniest thing of it all is that when you ask someone what's the difference between leadership and management, they get it confused sometimes. They get it not round the wrong way, but they believe it to be one and the same.
Oh no, they're
Whereas,
completely different. But I would
yeah,
have thought that, maybe 10 years ago, I would have probably not realized the difference. But I suppose because I teach leadership quite a bit,
yeah,
I've had to understand it.
yeah.
Sometimes in teaching, you're just one step ahead of the students when you're first starting out. You're just
Well,
learning yourself.
well, what do they say? The best way to learn is to teach someone else.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. This is true.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I try to put that into practice all the time. So any book that I read that I think, yeah, I can use that within my own industry and for my clients, I will literally go away. And my family are bored to death of me probably, and I will try and
Oh
teach
no.
them how to do that. They come on and
Oh.
tell you how and we learned this and I learned that and we learned the other thing, and I want to teach you how to do it. And the idea is that they will ask you a million questions which you don't know, and you have to go away and find out. So it's more of the cementing that learning
When do
because
you switch off, Kevin?
when do I switch off?
Yeah, have you an off button
Um,
somewhere in the back of your neck anywhere that someone can
I think
push?
between about 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock. I think
Oh,
that's when I
flip
switch
me.
off at 8 a.m. By the way, PM
Oh,
and AM.
right. Sorry.
Um,
I thought you meant 11 p.m.
because yeah, 11 p.m. That's me. I'm done after that. It's almost like someone did pull the plug out. But
Hmm.
4 o'clock, my head decides to go here. I have a good idea, and it just decides to wake up. But I
Mhm.
know, and this is something I have had to challenge myself with for many years. I physically get tired, so I have to allow my body to rest. So I may lie there awake for an hour because I know my body needs a
Oh.
certain amount of time
But you
to
know that if you're not
energize.
asleep within 20 minutes, you're supposed to get up. If your brain's overactive,
Wow.
I had to do a bit of retraining around that, and it was really interesting. And it said, 20 minutes if you're not asleep, get up and go into a different room and change.
Hmm.
Make sure it's low lighting, and then wait till you're dropping off again and back into bed. If for the overactive mind, that's what you're
My
talking about.
I don't last 20 minutes. It's literally my wife says that she's having a conversation with me, and the next thing I'm gone.
Lights
Like I
out.
said, it's your lovely dulcet tones that just help me just go over. But I mean,
So at least you
literally,
do actually switch off,
I
Kevin, now,
do,
because I did
I
wonder when you
do.
said you were reading all these books and testing the theories out, you're
Oh,
definitely outside
listen,
any working hour.
some people will see me and look at me and go, he's not doing anything. He's literally he's not doing anything. But I am working in my head constantly. I am testing theories. I am really going over what I've read. I am thinking about the next process, the next campaign, the next thing. But it's just, it's just who I am. I'm used to it by now, and I have
Hmm.
my strategies in place to switch off.
Well, there you go. That's why you do what you do. That's why you went out on your own.
It is, and I've enjoyed most of it. There is the moments, Kathy, as an entrepreneur, they become a little lonely sometimes and a little frustrating, and you lose your way.
Hmm.
But
I can imagine that. It would be
yeah,
a lonely place to be. I just don't think it would be for me. I'm quite risk averse. So I
okay,
think that wouldn't be for me.
okay, okay. I would say I'm not risk averse.
You couldn't
Uh,
be?
I'm not risk averse at all. Now that I think about it, I'm not. No, no. Any of the sports I did was always impact sports, high risk of injury, or yeah. serious injury. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
You've got the right mindset then.
Well, but this is it. But it's something again, even with regards to even your own students and students that are probably listening to this, it is cultivating that mindset. I haven't always had this mindset. I was similar to yourself, risk averse to a point where I got very comfortable in a role that I was in for 22 plus years. I moved up within that organization, but I got really, really comfortable and didn't want to take that risk. Then the risk was forced upon me through redundancy, and I seen this as an opportunity to move forward with a business that I've always dreamt about, but never had the courage to go out and do it. I was helping everybody else and all others set up their own business,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all right showing and demonstrating. But if you're not doing, then
Mm-hmm.
who are you to advise?
Yeah, and apparently there are a lot of entrepreneurs, that find their niche after redundancy, and there are more businesses created during like an economic downturn and crisis. So maybe they correlate. When you're basically you're forced into it. Because if it hadn't happened, you'd have maybe trundled along for another while. But
Well,
sorry,
but
we're
this is
going way
it.
off topic. I'm sorry about this, Kevin. You
Oh,
see,
don't
once
be.
you get
Listen, this
chatting,
is
I mean,
this.
you
Believe it or
don't know
not,
what's
this
going
is
to come out.
this is still on topic. This is still on topic. This is good
Oh,
because there will
that's
be
good.
lots of your students and lots of students that I have dealt with in the past, and people from around the world listen to this podcast as well, and they will be thinking, "Oh, I didn't realize that when there's an economic downturn, just like COVID, that actually entrepreneurship increases."
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is about this conversation is about interviews and having your worst interview ever. But believe it or not, selling and pitching is a form of interview in a sense. And as an
Oh, I.
entrepreneur, that's what you have to learn how to do,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't really grow as a business.
Well, we do teach that now in all of our creative subjects. They have pitching workshops, and they have to actually, there will be modules whereby they pitch a specific product or an idea to a panel. If you think of that kind of old style, like
Mm-hmm.
Dragon's Den. So they will do that in the business school and in the creative arts and lots of different modules across the university, because
Amazing.
it's pitching, it's standing up in front of an audience,
Yeah.
which is not dissimilar to an interview. And the amount of times where you have to do an interview, but you have to do a presentation or unseen or seen presentation as part of
Mm-hmm.
that, or some form of pitch in education, taking a mock class. It's really become a lot more common, because how do you differentiate from an employer's point of view? How do you differentiate between people at interview? You can't always tell. And if it's for a particular career that's going to require you to pitch or to be in front of an audience, then you need to get them in front of a mock audience to see what they're like.
And that's it. It's creating that differentiation between candidates during the interview process is really difficult. It's really, really difficult. And a lot of the teaching jobs, they will all have a mock interview followed by a mock lesson, followed by a student interview panel. And this is something that has
Oh,
become really, really prevalent over the last few years, where they actually
I
have
like
a
that
load of the
idea.
students and the students quiz the incoming potential teacher.
I actually really like that idea.
It's fantastic. Now, it's probably not fantastic for the candidate, but it's fantastic for the students because they feel involved.
Yeah.
They feel involved in, well, this is my school and this is my college, and we're bringing these people in, so surely we should be involved in who's coming in to teach us.
But young people do, they get it. They will know when a teacher isn't interested in them.
Yeah.
They know who cares about their subject and who cares about them. They pick that up very quickly. So that's probably brings that into the recruitment process. It makes perfect sense when I sort of think about it that way. Because I didn't
Yeah.
know that was currently happening in the
Oh
education
yeah.
sector.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think, yeah, thinking about it, perfect.
Well, when you think about even what skill set these students are receiving from that.
Oh, brilliant.
So now you've got future leaders sitting there
Mm-hmm.
learning new skills as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know. It might be something you bring into your own university, even with regards to any of the lecturers coming through the door. And I know the
Yeah.
process is a bit tedious and sometimes can be quite drawn out. But asking somebody else, maybe a student, to jump on the panel with you gives you a different, very very different perspective, because they're coming at it from a student's point of view, and not from a university's point of view.
So we've always had in our department placement students, so a
Mm.
full year out in placement. We've 2 at the minute, one for marketing and media and one for IT and systems. And I just absolutely love having the placement student when the new one arrives, every year in early September. Because working alongside them gets you to see things through their eyes and their viewpoint, and you learn so much from them. And I think we give them as much as responsibility and as much to do as possible, within limits, and they're very well supervised. It's a good placement
Yeah.
for them. So I really, really enjoy spending time with them.
Placements are becoming a lot less now, haven't they?
There's been a downturn.
Yeah.
It's not across every sector.
No.
But there's definitely a downturn at the moment. It's from an employer's perspective, if you're trying to, save money, it's the first thing that goes, any new recruitment, particularly at that level. It's a bit short-sighted, but if it's basically trying to protect the staff you already have, then I can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes things more difficult for young people now because the opportunities aren't there that were there a year ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you noticed that there's been a big downturn in certain industries?
Yeah. I probably kind of push the information together in little bits and pieces and send it up. So I probably don't have the full picture. So there's probably
Yeah.
no point in going through it. But there are quite a number of industries seem to have been hit harder than others. Yeah. But again, if you think it's anyone who's relying on public sector contracts because of the public, squeeze
Yeah.
across all of the public sector. But people always think, oh, that's your civil service, that's your schools, your hospitals and your roads and, anything that's part of the government. But it's not. It's those private companies that would be reliant on a lot of contracts, from the roads and suddenly that's disappeared or from something or the other. So it's that ripple effect, isn't it, Kevin? It's
It
not
is.
just
It
cuts
is.
in the public sector, it's the ripple effect across most other sectors.
Well, I mean, if you even consider myself, take me into consideration, for example, with regards to what we've just discussed. For the last 12 months, I've been delivering 3 to 4 workshops on behalf of councils and our government to entrepreneurs. And they had their, what they call their cliff edge, which comes usually around April when all of the funding completely stopped. And now I'm doing one every quarter. Now, I'm a private organization.
Perfect example of what I just said.
Yeah, and that ripple effect has caused that. However, it has given me other opportunities now to look into that I potentially wouldn't have looked at previously.
Oh, exactly.
But again, that's a mindset, isn't it? That's a thought process of one door closes, another one opens.
Yeah, it's the glass being half full. It's the growth mindset that, so our business institute has done a lot of research. They do a lot of support for small businesses and grow company, grow program and things like that. But they would say that every single entrepreneur, every single successful entrepreneur has a growth mindset.
I would agree.
Because you have to be successful. Every single one. I was like, well, you must be an anomaly. And they're like, no. Every single, bar none, has a growth mindset. And I thought, so when I'm talking to our students about that, we kind of embed that whole area of resilience and EQ and growth mindset into a lot of what we deliver in skills delivery in the curriculum through the university. And we talk about that, and the students are kind of going, the same as me, they're sort of going, all of them? And I'm like, yeah. And you could do a quick check to see, there are free online tests to get a really quick check to see if you're fixed to growth. And I think part of the problem here in Northern Ireland is the culture, and the culture and the way that children have been raised here for a long time is of a fixed mindset.
Yes,
everyone was
yes,
taught
absolutely.
to be, say, risk averse is one example, but, not to stick your head above the parapet, not to get not to get too big for your boots. That whole culture here we have. Don't be bragging. Nobody likes that.
Children should be seen and not heard.
Females as well. More. Nice, a good girl. What's a good girl? And then that means, okay, now you've got to stand in front of 20 people and sell yourself. You can't do it because it's been ingrained in you and your upbringing and the culture that you just don't do that. You have to kind of shift that as well.
Yeah,
and that took ages for me to get my head around. The same as you, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It took me some time to come to terms with that because It is one of those self-limiting beliefs that we've had that has served us well in the past, but is holding us back right now. And it's that selling of yourself
But it does make you feel awkward, doesn't it? At first, you have to feel really,
at
you feel
first.
really uncomfortable with it.
Well, I'll give you an example of this. I'll give you an example of this so that our listeners can actually understand. Well, whenever you're very, very young, Kathy, and your parents have allowed you outside for the first time on your own, what do they always tell you about strangers?
Hmm. Yeah, don't
Never, yeah,
never
don't speak
talk
to
to
them.
strangers.
Yeah, don't go near them. Don't take sweets off them. Don't get into cars. Run away, screaming, kicking, whatever. Okay. What's the very first thing we do when we go into a business, whether that be a retail business, whether that be a sales, whatever else? The very first thing we do with our staff is we go to them. Do you see that customer over there? Go over and sell them something and speak to them. What we're saying is, see that stranger over there? Go over and
Yeah.
talk to them. And they're like, oh, I can't. I just can't. And they're right, they can't. Because it
Yeah.
is inherently bred into them. They shouldn't do that. And it's one of the first things when I was in retail, it was one of the first things I noticed when we were training staff was we had to break this self-limiting belief. But the problem was that it was created by an authority figure as of their parents. So it was more difficult to break. So we actually had more people fail their probation because they couldn't approach strangers.
Yeah.
So when you
No, I could definitely understand that.
yeah, when you take it out of the equation though, and when you teach them how to get around that, work around that, reframe it so that they see these strangers as something different, then that's okay. It worked, and we had less people then fail their probation. But had I not bothered to even notice that, we'd have been failing people's probation left, right, and center on a hugely frequent basis.
Yeah.
But that's only
But
one
it's a
part of
very
it.
difficult thing to do, though, to shift a mindset. I mean, look, very, very difficult thing to do.
It is very difficult. I am not
People have to want to. And even when you want to, it could take a long time.
correct. Correct. I'm developing a program at the moment, Kathy. I'll share it with you. Nobody else, okay? Nobody else listening. It's called Change Your Life in 30 Days.
Mm-hmm.
And it works on a psychological level. It also works with philosophy, and it also works with creating opportunities for people to improve very
Mm-hmm.
quickly,
That's 30
but
days. It takes
slowly.
about 30 days. It takes about 30 days to form a new habit. So that's why you chose 30 days.
That's why I
Plus,
chose 30 days.
most months have about 30 days. So
Mm-hmm.
there
It's
you
only
go.
only the one that doesn't. That's that wee strange February. The others have a minimum of 30. But yes, it's I have put this in practice, and it works.
There we
Because
go.
if we do these small steps, and it's the same with interviewing, if we do these small steps,
Mm-hmm.
they compound
Yeah. Bit
into
by bit.
something big, bit by
Yeah.
bit. Little by little, a little becomes a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It is. And that's it's something I have seen in my own career. I've something I have seen in the clients that I service and provide the service to. But it's life changing. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where that sort of title comes from, life changing. It's like getting a new job when you're very young and you're a student and you go for your first job in the area that you've actually trained in, and you go, wow, this is amazing. And maybe it is amazing for the first 5 or 6 months, and then you start to get into the grind and you actually have to start doing the work, and it
Yeah.
becomes slightly different. The mindset slightly changes. These things happen.
Mm-hmm.
These things happen.
Well, good luck now. I'm sure
Thank
you'll
you.
get lots of clients.
I'm well. I'm hoping that I can service a lot more people, and that's the whole point of this. It really is, because helping people is seems to be in my DNA. I can't let go of it. I love when someone says to me, Kevin, that was a great suggestion. Thanks for that.
There
That
you
has
go.
changed what I do and who I am, and
Mhm.
it has changed my family as well. And I thought, what more do you want from your job,
Absolutely.
your
Talk about
career?
job satisfaction. That's it right there.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear that quite regular. But the difference with my clients and probably other clients is that a lot of my clients don't like to say they use someone like me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm almost like the world's best kept secret. They
Yeah.
don't. It's like a dirty little secret. Don't talk about Kevin. Don't talk about
Yeah.
getting coaching from interview skills coach. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
don't be talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's
No, I
just
can see why. Yeah,
you can see, can't you?
yeah,
Because
of
it's
course.
almost
It's
like
almost like an admission of weakness
that's it.
in yourself. Yeah.
Which again is the wrong mindset, isn't it? Which is
Mhm.
it's a strength.
Absolutely. To realize that there's a problem and that you need help, and then number one, and then number two, to actually get the help. That
Yeah.
is strength.
Absolute strength, and it's something again that I have come up with and come up against in my own life many years ago when I needed to go to counselling, and it was one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I would regularly take on counselling because they're very well trained to understand you at a level that you can't.
Oh, absolutely. That's what they've trained for, and it's quite a number of years to train, you know. And then if they've been out already for a number of years, then their experience. I mean, that's what you want.
It is. You want someone that knows what they're doing.
Definitely. Would you want a surgeon hovering over you going, "Oh, which bit do I cut?"
But it's the
Kind of
same as
thing.
you know. And I always joke and say, well, someone once said to me, "God, Kevin, you were in that role for 22 years. You'd think you'd be good at it by now." You know, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I suppose it should be. You're absolutely right. I suppose it should be." But it's the same as yourself. 19 years in the employability
Yeah.
industry.
And
I
I've
am
absolutely loved
sure
it.
you could teach, and you do teach, but I'm sure what you have in your head could change so many people for the better, and does change so many people for the better.
Bit by bit, as you said.
I bet.
Bit
That's
by
it.
bit. And
That's it.
that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me in. I'm just going to make a little bit of difference to some people in my little corner of the world. And that's, do you know what? That's enough for me. I don't have these big, grand dreams. As long as I know that I can make a difference in what I do, that's me. So, you know,
That's lovely, Kathy. And I'm sure
same
your
same as
students
you, I'm
would,
sure, do you know.
yeah, well, I'm sure
I
your
love my
students will
students.
reflect that.
Oh, who knows?
Okay. Well, we do know students actually. They may not.
Yeah. You know, people have busy lives. I wouldn't expect them, you know, to come back and go, oh, you know, but sometimes they do. I got a lovely couple of emails today of a couple of people that they got a call this morning to say they got the job, and there was huge competition for it. And there were two were selected from the whole of Northern Ireland, and two of them are my students, and they're just bubbling, you know. And I put a wee star or a wee red flag on those kinds of things. And then if I have a bad day, I'll just go and open that folder, and there's, you know,
Yeah.
there's the people that I know about at least that,
Yeah. Kathy,
you know, that they're
you'll be stealing my
happy.
job.
You're all right. I very firmly stay in education. I love education, so I'll be all right. We
Oh, that's
could. I won't fight you for your clients. You'll be okay.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it. Well, Kelly, let's give some. It has been valuable up to now, but let's give even more value to the students that are listening in, and for that matter, anybody else that's listening in about what best practices and what they should and shouldn't do. So, give us your top 3 red flags that you should not do when going into an interview.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're going in, you need to make sure, and I always say this to people, when it comes to males, that your shoes are clean and your nails are clean. Little things like that. Because if there are females on the panel and you go to shake their hands, believe me, they will look at your hands and they will always check your shoes out. So that sounds really old school and old fashioned, but it's still true. If we're looking at the younger population. I would also say make sure that you've given yourself so much time that you're not flustered and covered in sweat, because you know you're going to have a bit of excessive sweat anyway if you're nervous, and if you've rushed to be there and you're flustered and harassed. I've seen that happen to so many good candidates, because just literally, like, I mean, really unforeseen circumstances getting there. The bus didn't turn up, or something broke down, or there was a car crash, and you're really starting yourself on the wrong foot there. You need lots of time to sit and decompress. And the third one would be about, remember that it's humans interviewing humans. So just, I know, although you'll be nervous, make sure that the best that you can, that you're being able to smile and make eye contact, because when you're nervous, you might not. People forget that, you know, it's what nerves can really cripple you.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't call them red flags as such. It's not something that would raise a huge warning, but they're really, really common things I see day in, day out.
Yeah.
With the kind of younger population, especially, and they'll be with me when they're having the first professional interview. And a professional interview, as you know, is so much more rigorous than something for a part-time role or something for a voluntary position that they've come up against before.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the variations in interviews across industry is huge, although the majority of the questions are similar. Well, the majority of the non-technical questions are similar, and they're all, I'm going to say they should be quite easy to answer because they're about you and your past and your experiences. But you and I both know that is
Oh
one
my
of the
gosh.
biggest sticking points for people. It's that first question of, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you think you're the right candidate for the role and what skill set you're bringing to this organization. It's like,
It's
oh
one
my
of the
word.
most common first questions in any interview.
Mm-hmm.
Then people just get off the wrong start. But then I think at the start you're more nervous as well. So maybe, you did have an answer and you've forgotten it. You'll start to ramble.
Yeah.
But you can spot at least 80%, maybe 90% of the questions and prepare for them before you go in by looking at the personnel specification.
Absolutely.
So that's what a lot of people don't understand. And to be fair, if I wasn't in my sector, I wouldn't know either.
Yeah.
So it's about teasing out in advance what the questions are going to be and actually writing answers. That area of preparation that a lot of people, they spend a lot of time researching the company and thinking about things they could say and common questions, but they don't sit down with the job spec and pull out all of the skills and competencies and think of very specific examples. We always use STAR, just as a simple one,
Yeah.
for competency-based questions, so what the situation, tasks, action, and result. Use that framework when you're asked for a situation, for example, of a time when you're working on multiple projects at the same time and something went wrong. Or, tell us about a time you were working as part of a team towards a common goal. What was your role? And, if teamwork is in the job spec, then you're going to get it. You're probably going to get a teamwork question. So it's about thinking of those and preparing for those. And actually the old school of writing them down using pen or pencil and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Because it just seems to go into the head a lot easier with the hand moving across the page as opposed to sitting typing.
Well, I suppose it's when you're using all of those sort of learning styles. So you're getting the kinesthetic feel, you're getting the visual of looking at it, even the smell of the book and paper and the ink, and even the listening of the pen across the paper. So
Yeah.
you're really crossing all boundaries of sensitivities, and hopefully that'll help it sink in a little bit better and easier as well. And I would
Just
always
seems to
recommend
work.
exactly that, what you just said. And just touching back on the question with regards to, the questions you're almost expecting of, tell us a little bit about yourself. It is that common, Kathy, that I have created a model around it, and it's called the T model, and it's the today, earlier, and after. So tell us why you're here today. Tell us what your current skill set is. Tell us why you got into it. So that's your earlier, so university, past experiences, even around why you decided to go down in this direction. And then where do you see yourself in a couple of years' time? Are you in a new role? Are you moving on? Where do you see yourself? And by just answering it with that method, you're almost answering 3 or 4 additional questions.
But it's why they always ask it as well, isn't it? Because it's asking 3 or 4 things,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, again, I'll always say to them, why do you think they're asking that question?
Yeah.
Why does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's always people like themselves, so they want to know a little bit more about you. And you and I both know as we sit there as interviewers, we're sitting asking ourselves a few questions like, can I work with this person for 40 hours a week?
Especially if it's a smaller company or private sector, that because it's such a risk to take a new member of staff financially, and if you get the wrong one. So again, it always helps to see it from the employer's perspective, seeing it from the other side of the table. And that's why though it helps to be in interview panels. And I've been on and off interview panels for years, and you've done that yourself. And that's trying to get people to understand what that's like.
Yeah. It is very, very difficult. It's very difficult. And again, it's putting yourself in the other person's shoes, isn't it? And trying to think of your audience as such. What do they want? What do they want to hear? But even sitting there as an interviewer, that first question of, can I work with that person? It's a biggie. It's a huge one. And
It
again, as you
is.
said, especially for those smaller businesses. The
Mm-hmm.
second question would be, is this person going to cause me any more hassle than I currently have? And
Are they going to
is this
fix the problem or make the problem worse?
Are they going to fix the problem? And that's it. And when I used to
Yeah.
sit there, I used to think those three, the answers could have been fantastic. They could have been ticking all the boxes, but you just get that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, potentially we've discussed this before around that gut feeling. Now, the gut feeling isn't always right, by the way, and there has been lots of publications on this. The gut feeling is actually based around your past
Well, use
experiences
your own prejudices, basically,
and your own
and what you
prejudice.
see through a lens. Yeah.
Correct.
Unconscious bias, isn't that it? Is
Correct.
that what you just said? Yeah.
That's exactly it. Unconscious
Mm-hmm.
bias.
Mm-hmm.
So it trust it to an extent, because it's telling you there's something that it is encountered in the past that you didn't agree with or didn't like, but maybe question it. Question why. Question why you're feeling like that. You know, why are you
But
nervous
it's even
during the
noticing you're
interview?
feeling like that in the moment. I
Yeah,
mean, again, that's about you being in touch with yourself, isn't it, as well?
it is. It's about knowing yourself a little better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kathy, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move
Mm-hmm.
on to our quick fire round. So
Right.
this round, for anybody who's listening, is a very
Okay.
simple quick fire. It's a yes, no, or pass.
All right.
Yeah, yes, no, or pass. So you good to go?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Did I pass the first one? Yes.
No, that was it. You got it wrong. Is it acceptable to wear pajama bottoms to a Zoom interview?
Ooh. Pass.
Is it okay to bribe the interviewers?
No.
Is it wise to ask the interviewer for a selfie together at the end?
No, absolutely not. Under
Should
no circumstances.
should a candidate smile during the interview?
Yes.
Should you answer the first question with a dramatic pause for effect?
No. Why would you do that?
Should women wear high heels to an interview?
If they want, if they're comfortable in them.
Is it acceptable to ask the interviewer how much they make?
No.
Should you high five the interviewer at the end?
No.
Should a candidate swear during the interview?
No.
Is it acceptable to bring your mum to the interview for moral support?
No. No, 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 all day long.
Kathy, that is the end of the quickfire questions.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Any of those stood out that were really strange and weird and wonderful?
You're going to tell me now that people have done all of those things that you've been
I-
working with, aren't you?
I get asked these questions at least once a week. This is why
Wow.
I am asking someone of your experience and
Wow.
thoughts on this.
I work with young people, and a lot of young people wouldn't even ask those questions, Kevin.
I know, but this is the world we live in, Kathy.
Oh.
This is the world we live in. And
Well,
you passed.
luckily they've got you.
Well, thank you, thank you. Well, you passed on the. Is it acceptable to wear pajama bottoms to a Zoom interview? What was your
Yeah.
thoughts around that?
Well, they can't see you. So on one hand, you'd feel really, if you're really comfortable, right? And you want to be physically comfortable. But on the other hand, it's about lack of effort as well. And you need to feel that you're part of it. Like dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So if you're sitting there in jammy bottoms, they'll never know, but maybe you won't quite be switched on enough. So I kind of sat on the fence of it because, if it was me, I actually probably personally would, just because I like to be comfortable.
Okay.
And I can't see it. But it could, as I say, flip the way of, mind, about the right mindset, because, you're top to toe in what you should be for the new job. What about you? What do you think? You think it's an absolute no?
It's a no for me personally, and that's only my opinion. But it's based on quite a few things you've just mentioned. It's about dressing for that role, and
Yeah.
subconsciously wearing a pair of pajama bottoms is sending a signal to you to say, this really isn't that important because you haven't made that much
The
of an
effort.
effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there are people who find wearing certain items of clothing to give them special powers. And this has actually been proven, Cathy, that you have this par outfit or par tie or par suit or par color
Yeah,
or
it's like a lucky
whatever.
thing as well. It's like a talisman or a lucky thing,
Yes,
and you
yeah,
come to associate it with, yeah,
you do.
good performance.
And then it has power. So
Mm.
you're the
Only
one that
because you
assigns
believe
power.
it to
Correct.
have
You
power.
assign the
Yeah.
power to it.
Hmm.
But it's hard to get
It's
away
like a
from once
comfort
you
blanket
know.
as a child.
Yeah, that's it. But it's hard to get away from. So, in my own personal opinion, no, you should always dress for the occasion, because not only that, I'm a great believer in how you do something is how you do everything.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's my
No, I've heard
opinion
that
on
then
things.
before, and
Yeah,
it's the little things that matter. But
yeah.
I just know personally, I think as though as I've got slightly older, I prefer comfort. And it was those lockdown years, and it was just so hard to get into structured clothes then that I could personally understand if someone wanted to wear baggy pants on their bottom and be all comfortable.
Well, listen,
Likewise with the high heels for women, because I mean,
yeah.
you know what, wear them if you're comfortable in them, but do not wear them if you don't wear them very often and you're stalking around like baby Bambi all over the show, because yeah,
I've
also
seen
you're
it,
not
Cathy.
comfortable.
I've seen
Listen,
it. I'm sure you've seen it.
or oh, very, very regularly you see it, and it's wonderful actually. That my favorite time of the year is July graduations, and
Mm.
watching some of the females getting up onto the stage and across the stage in the heels that they thought would be a really good idea is hilarious. Because you're like, I think I probably was like that, back in the day myself. But it's so clear when someone is not comfortable in them.
Yeah, 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 and they do stand out, and not all for the right reasons, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But as you said, you need to be comfortable when you're getting into the interview,
Hmm.
but you almost need to find comfort in whatever it is you're wearing. Yeah, again, it's a perception, isn't it? What you find
It is,
comfortable may not be
absolutely.
comfortable to somebody else. And Kelly, you had a giggle about the acceptable to bring your mum to the interview for moral support one.
Oh, bless. Did somebody actually? Really?
It happens more than you think. Now, they didn't bring them into the actual interview. They had them sitting sort of in the waiting room or in the car with them. And
Hmm.
sometimes we talked about anxieties and we talked about students. Sometimes it is all that's needed to say, I'm just here. I'll be here when you're
I
finished.
suppose if you're very young and it was the first interview, thinking back to the day, I reckon probably back in my first couple of interviews when I would have been about 16, my dad would have probably driven me there and waited in the car with me and waited
Yeah.
until I came back out. So that's kind of a similar thing. So
It's a
maybe.
similar thing, yeah. It's a similar. But I have had occasions where people have said, "Can I bring them into the actual interview with me?" And there's no need.
Can
There's
you
no need.
imagine the employer's reaction?
I have been one of those employers and seen it happen. So yes, I don't need to imagine.
Oh dear.
It just
Look.
it speaks volumes. I think
Hmm.
it almost it's
So I would blame the mother in that situation, quite frankly.
yeah for allowing it to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
bit of common sense wouldn't go amiss there from the mother. Say no,
Well,
just I'm not coming in with you. It wouldn't be appropriate. It'll make you look like a.
well, what is that saying, Kathy? If it was common, everybody would have it.
This is true. This is
Yeah,
true.
yeah, and it's not always the case, as we very well know. We very well know. Well, Kathy, let's get to why we're actually here today. And I know
Mhm.
we've sort of skirted around this for a wee moment or two, but we want to talk about your worst interview ever. Now,
Oh
it could
yes.
be from either side of the desk, either as an interviewer or as a candidate.
Mm.
Kathy, over to you.
Oh, now I've got quite a lot, but I was going for one of my first professional jobs, wasn't I? Yes, I remember this. Okay, so it was a public sector interview. I was the interviewee. So it was quite a large panel, and I was exceptionally nervous. It was in the city centre, so I had to navigate driving in, getting parked and everything. I had the sweaty palms, and I was just basically what I was considered a complete mess. The nerves had really taken over, and I talk a lot with my hands. I've been very careful with my hands today. I've kept them down here like this, but I was gesticulating a lot and answering the questions, and I knocked the glass of water over. So they always give you a lovely fresh glass of water for the next candidate coming in, and I knocked it. It went flying. It was full. Went flying across. and the guy opposite me, the main interviewer, it kind of leaked down into his crotch before anyone could see it. It all happened so quickly. So he got absolutely soaked. And I was mortified, just sitting there, mortified. You know, it was all taken in quite good grace. I don't know what the poor man did for the next for the next interviewee coming in. He had to walk around, you know, with that area wet for a while. And then I came out of the interview and I was so shaken, and I reversed my car into the wall in the car park.
Oh, Cathy.
Then it was definitely time to go home, Kevin. That was game over.
Oh, I'm afraid to ask, but I think I know the answer. Did you get the job?
Actually, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
that's what I
Do you
thought.
know? But do you know why? Because it
What
was
I thought.
public sector and it was by the book, and the
Mm-hmm.
questions were all scored and they were competency based. And I actually was so well prepared. I didn't end up taking it in the end, actually, because something else came up. But I mean, just two epic failures. You know, it's so easily done. You know, you just and it was all good. Ooh.
Well, Cathy, if it gives you any consolation to the hand movements, people who move their hands more often are more trustworthy.
Oh, right, there we go. I must go and look at that research and I can quote it to
Okay.
people because I'm always getting in trouble for all this, you know.
They're more trustworthy because when you're talking and your body is moving in the same direction as you're speaking, then your words aren't lying. It is hard to
Ah.
lie. It's easy to lie with your words, but really difficult to lie with your body language.
Well, there we go. I
Very
do think it's very distracting, which is why I certainly have had like this nearly the whole time.
It's
Um,
distracting online.
it's distracting.
So
It's very distracting
so you're
online.
so
I
you're
noticed that
doing
all those
really
years.
well.
Yeah, I was trying to do everyone a favor because I discovered that in lockdown, obviously, and you know, teaching online, and
Yeah. Well,
you
Cathy,
have to make sure you're not distracting people.
what I use and what I suggest for most of my clients is that if you can see me now, you can't see my hands. I am still, believe it or not, moving my hands underneath the camera, which you can't see. And I
Oh, have you got
also
something you
have
can fidget with? Have you?
and I also have a little bit
Oh,
of blue
but a little bit
tack.
of blue tack.
Can you see that?
Great, yes.
So it's tactile, it's malleable,
Oh,
and
that's a
it
good
is
one.
just perfect.
Wouldn't
Now,
even have noticed your hands moving at all.
no. And that is great for online. Now, when you're in person, it becomes a little more challenging, obviously.
Oh, the arms are everywhere when I'm in person. It's all right.
But what you
Can't help it.
what you can do, Cathy, is what I call the prayer hands. And I think if people are watching this online, they will see that you had the prayer hands for a moment, which is basically where we cross the fingers,
Yeah.
interlocking, right? Now, there is also a little pressure point within the palm of your hand that you can use to help calm yourself down when you're in that moment, and others can't see it when you do it. So,
Oh.
for those that are watching, it's literally, and those that are listening, you put your right thumb into the
Mm-hmm.
palm of your right or left hand and
Mm-hmm.
you draw a small square.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So when you have your hands, prayer hands, you get your thumb,
Uh-huh.
so, and you do a little square in there. Just like that. So what happens with this? Okay, nobody can see it because it's underneath your thumb that's on top.
It's like a self-soothing thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But it also brings you into the present moment.
Oh, yeah.
Anxiety lives in the future, and fear lives in the future. And if you stay in the present moment, you can't be either. So when you're doing the little square in the palm of your hand,
Mm-hmm.
you have to think about it. It's specifically do not do a circle or do not do a dot. It's do a square because it's harder to do. And you have
You
to
have to
think about it,
focus.
which means you
Mm-hmm.
have
You
to
do.
focus and bring yourself now.
In the moment.
So
Oh, Kevin, I might use that now.
please
Can
do
I have
use
that
that.
one? Can I
You
have
can
that
have
one?
that
I
one,
can use that one.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And what it's used for then, or what happens, sorry, is that when you are in that present moment, your thoughts become more natural
Mm-hmm.
and the panic just disperses.
It gets rid of that old brain freeze.
It gets rid of the brain freeze, it gets rid of the brain block, and you just relax and you just then start saying what's in your heart that you've learnt off. The problem with most people is we go to an interview and answer with our heads.
Yeah.
If we answer with our hearts because it's what we do and what we love and it's within our own values, you'll get the job every time.
And it will come across, of course it will. You can tell when someone's authentic, and you can tell when someone really cares and is really
Mhm.
motivated. And that would
Yeah.
particularly go with the smaller businesses in the private sector.
Absolutely. I had a speech to give the other week, and I was struggling to remember. I wasn't struggling to remember. I was finding it really challenging to remember the speech word for word because I needed it to land word for word. And I went to this guy, very experienced in public speaking, and I said to him, oh, his name is Kevin as well, by the way. So Kevin, I am really finding this difficult to put this into here and make it stay and come out here. And he says, well, Kevin, just stop, bring it from here. And he pointed to his heart and he said, give it from there. And as soon as he said that, the whole head just cleared. And I thought,
Yeah.
that's it. That
There
is
you go.
well within my values. And it's the same with
Because
any
you believe absolutely what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's the same with any job as well. If you can get the job that aligns with your values,
Oh,
it is much
100%.
easier.
I believe that really strongly myself, and it's why I've left jobs before,
Yeah.
because they had made changes that no longer aligned with my values, and I couldn't stand over what they were doing, so I left. So,
That's it.
and there you go, goes to show.
Absolutely. Kelly, this has been great today. This has been absolutely fantastic today. All of our students and anybody who's not a student will have learned so much from you today. It has been one of those days where I have learned quite a bit from you myself, and I love these type of days when I don't know what to expect when people come onto the show.
You just don't know what's going to come out of their mouth.
But I do love it, and I do want to give a little bit of a recap, just very briefly, on what we've discussed.
Mhm.
And there was a couple of points that I thought were really salient. The cleanliness, one of those red flags that you had about cleanliness around people coming into the interview, clean shoes, clean fingernails, and you're absolutely right. People pick up on those very small details, and when you add all those small details together, it creates a big picture of who you are. So you might as well do the small things that you have control over, because a lot of the interview you don't have control over, but you have control of how you show up and how you perform and demonstrate who you really are and stay authentic. And people like themselves. And that's why the interviews are all about a soft skill. It's about how do you come across to someone your true authentic self. That your values align with their values and they align with the company values. And someone who has that alignment will stay in that job and do a really good job for a long time. So you're actually saving money as a business if you can find people who align with your values and your business values. They'll stay there much longer. Kelly, this has been fantastic. If any of our listeners want to reach out to you, is there an easy way for them to do that?
Absolutely, LinkedIn. So,
Okay.
Cathy Moore, employability consultant. I will definitely come up.
Brilliant, Cathy. Thank you very much. Tune in again for more sessions with, you just never know who is going to be on this show, but we have some exciting guests to come. Cathy, thank you very much and all the very best.
No problem. You take care, Kevin.
You too.
For more details about our guest, or if you would like to be a guest, go to www.interviewskillscoach.co.uk/my-worst-interview-ever, or find us on Facebook or LinkedIn. And remember, on the other side of a successful interview is the life you deserve.